Welcome back. Round 3. This Togekiss is not going to sit here properly. Gym Challenge, Round 3, Saturday. Dennis, Pikachu, Round 3, as I keep saying. Sean and Ryan, or I should probably say Neo, as you will see in a moment. I have an MSS tomorrow. Definitely show out for that. Sean, Sudduth, and Ryan Wayne here in round 3. I'll say it an 8th time. Sean with King Gambit, Incineroar, Landorus, Therian, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Rillaboom, and Farigiraf. Ryan with Archaludon, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Fluttermane, Baxcalibur, Pelipper, and Amoonguss. Bit of a rain team for Ryan, and I believe no way to overwrite that for Sean. That is correct. Wait just a moment as they set things up a little bit more. I've been talking about this. Well, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think I've mentioned it on stream before. I think it's pronounced Farigiraf. I think it's pronounced Farigiraf because it's a giraffe. You know, like that's the animal is just called a giraffe. So I think Farigiraf is correct because it's a giraffe. Farigiraf. But a lot of people say Farigiraf, and like I get it, and I think that sometimes, but like it's a giraffe. That's why I think it's called Farigiraf, because it's a giraffe. But I'll continue to call it Farigiraf. That's just going to be my thing. As you can see on Sean's side of the screen, they're getting things underway. Looking at Ryan's team a little bit, as I mentioned, Pelipper with the Drizzle, Focus Sash, Weather Ball, Hurricane, Tailwind, and Wide Guard. Got the Archaludon with Stamina, Assault Vest, Electro Shot, Dragon Pulse, Heavy Slam, Body Press. Definitely a very flexible Pokemon there. Can attack on, what, 3 different spectrums? Could be pretty difficult to deal with. Also does have that Urshifu Rapid Strike to play around it. Does then have the Baxcalibur, Clear Amulet, Terra Poison, Icicle Crash, Glaive Rush, Ice Shard, Protect. Definitely an interesting set there. Feels, I don't know, maybe a little slow? I'm curious to see how that actually ends up playing out in a moment when we get the controllers fixed. It'll be fine. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. It's Gym Challenge. As I mentioned, we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll still be here for a while, obviously, but we'll be back here tomorrow with the mid-season showdown. Even more championship points on the line. Plenty of reason to come out here. It'll be great. Come and visit. Brigatito making an appearance on the stream with Neo. Just like the movie? We'll say that. Is coming right after Charlotte. Of course, at Charlotte we saw Wolfclick win another regional. I believe that's number 8 for him. On the best of all time, one could say. Anyways, we're now getting underway. King Gambit, Incineroar, Landorus, Therian, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Rillaboom, Farigiraf for Sean, Ryan with Archaludon, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Fluttermane, Baxcalibur, Pelipper, Amoonguss. I'll read them out again, just so that you know. See what the decision is. Ryan locked in already, seems to already know what the choice is. Waiting there for a bit, hasn't been able to see the team sheet, so might as well. The other end for Sean, we'll see what the decision decides to be. 2 Intimidate users on this team. It's almost all physical with just the Farigiraf special, although the King Gambit with the Defiant will be able to block any of those Intimidates. And there aren't any Intimidates on Ryan's side in any case. The only thing that can get intimidated realistically on Ryan's side is nothing. It's kind of nothing. Urshifu will go through the Intimidate with the Surging Strikes. Baxcalibur ignores the Intimidate with a Clear Amulet. Fluttermane, Pelipper, Amoonguss, all special attackers. Archaludon, mostly a special attacker. It has Heavy Slam. But that's really the only thing that's going to be intimidated on Ryan's side. So this could be a tough matchup for Sean. Certainly uses for the Incineroar and the Landorus without the Intimidate. But you're losing a lot of the value in those Pokemon when you're not able to get the value out of that Intimidate. And away we go, Sean and Ryan, round number 3. We're getting into crunch time in this tournament. Going to be the Fluttermane Baxcalibur lead from Ryan, and on Sean's side, the Landorus and the Rillaboom, as we will witness here. Baxcalibur not going to get the attack drop because of its clear amulet. Going to see the booster energy, booster speed for this Fluttermane. I could have looked on the team sheet myself, but I just decided to wait. A very fast Pokemon on Sean's side, well, to a degree. Choice Scarf Landorus and Grassy Glide available Rillaboom. Both of those could do some serious damage to this Fluttermane. We saw earlier how much Fluttermane can take in a situation like this. We'll see Landorus swap out. Definitely weak to that Ice Shard from Baxcalibur. Don't want to let yourself get hit by that. See the Protect coming out of the Baxcalibur instead. Get a Scouting turn. Rillaboom, Grassy Glide, going to go into the Fluttermane. Going to do some serious damage. Not going to knock out Icy Wind. That's dangerous, as that will lower the speed of both of these Pokemon, but double Kingambit's attack in a minute. Speed drop, and there is the Defiant Boost. A nice switch by Sean to get into Kingambit. Now, it's got Kowtow, Cleave, and Sucker Punch as its only attacking moves, alongside Sword Stance and Protect. So this Kingambit's going to be pretty scary with the dark moves. It's only got dark moves, but it's pretty scary with those dark moves at this point. Now Ryan with a lot of decisions to make. These are two slower Pokemon now, although both of them have priority options. And just as importantly, it's going to be tough for either of these Pokemon to take down Kingambit right now. It is just Speed Booster Fluttermane, so it won't be doing crazy amounts of damage, and I don't believe a Moonblast, its fairy option, will be able to take down a neutrally effective Kingambit. Going to be a Protect out of the Fluttermane, stall out an additional turn. See what the Baxcalibur wants to do here. It should be faster. Get the opportunity to move first. Gonna Icicle Crash. Hits the Rillaboom. Gonna knock it out. Big damage with Baxcalibur. Got that trademark Dragon type of this generation. Kowtow Cleave going to knock out Baxcalibur in return, though. Not a bad turn for either player. Baxcalibur gone, but Ryan able to move away the threat of the Grassy Glide. I think now it's not a bad opportunity to bring in Landorus. Landorus actually, it's going to be slower than Booster Energy, Booster Speed Fluttermane. So it still won't be able to outspeed there. The only option that will outspeed the Fluttermane is the Sucker Punch. And that has the potential downside of simply not landing if Fluttermane decides to swap out. Nice switch in for the Intimidate. The only target that's really going to be especially affected is Urshifu Rapid Strike. Surging Strike still goes through it, but if you want to close combat or Aqua Jet or U-turn, then you are going to be limited substantially. And with the potential of the Ogerpon in the back, this might be a situation where Urshifu has to close combat, especially with the chance that Fluttermane drops this turn. If Fluttermane swaps out, whatever comes in could get destroyed by a Kowtow Cleave. So this could be a real dangerous spot for Ryan. There's pizza here, I'm really hungry. So we'll see how quickly this ends and how quickly I get to eat the pizza. It's going to be a swap out from the Fluttermane, swap in the Pelipper. Pelipper with that Drizzle will boost the damage of the Surging Strikes. Good damage there onto the Urshifu. Not going to be enough to knock it out, even with a Rock Slide. Hold for Flinch. Flinch, indeed, from the Rock Slide. That's going to seriously reduce the value of that Urshifu Rapid Strike. And it's going to be tough for Urshifu to get out of this one. A Sucker Punch will be able to finish it off if it doesn't attack. If it switches out, it'll be switching out into Fluttermane, which should get taken down just by another Rock Slide from Landorus Therian. It'll be pretty close. So either way, you're in a pretty bad... you're trapped in a pretty bad spot if you are Ryan at this point with that flinch. Be the Terastal from Sean. It's gonna get moving now. Be the Terra Dark onto the King Gambit. Gonna boost the damage of that Sucker Punch even further. Make sure to lock up a KO. It's gonna be Wide Guard. Nice choice there, actually, to protect from the Rock Slides. But Sucker Punch should still finish off the Urshifu. That's for certain that it will. And the Rock Slide will be blocked now. But that's not too big of an issue if you are Sean, because at this point you kind of have these Pokemon trapped. Fluttermane is pretty trapped at this point. It's going to have to eat a Sucker Punch at some point. It's not going to be able to stall out forever. And there's still one more Pokemon in the back for Sean. It's tough to find a way out of this one for Ryan. I think you have to get rid of this Landorus. I think you do have to probably knock out the Landorus this turn with Weather Ball, if you can do that, and protect the Fluttermane. And then see where you can go from there. King Gambit is now weak to Moonblast. That is a advantage for sure. Landorus has no real reason to switch out. It could keep forcing Wide Guards out of Pelipper, which is probably better than not. And that's the thing, Pelipper is going to take a lot of damage from one more Rock Slide, and you can't really afford to not... You can't really afford to not attack with Pelipper, because you can't afford to attack with Fluttermane, because it's trapped into Focus Punch, or, excuse me, into getting Sucker Punched. It's trapped by Sucker Punch. No Focus Punch here. Not seen too often in BGC. It's a fun move. See the Terastal now. Maybe the Terra... No, it's actually going to be the Terra Flying from Pelipper. Boosts the damage of its flying type moves. It does have Hurricane, which is 100% accurate in the rain. It does also mean it's no longer a water type. Protect from Fluttermane. Going to protect it from the Sucker Punch. As we see, it does fail. Now we'll see, does... Okay, Landorus Rock Slide, hold. Hold for Landorus Rock Slide damage. This might knock out the Pelipper just right now. It won't. Not enough damage. Hold for flinch. Does get the Hurricane to connect. We'll go into the King Gambit. And it will not be enough to knock out. It'll be just under half when considering the recovery. A little bit of last recovery there. Should be able to let King Gambit take one more of those. And this might be it for Ryan in this game number 1. Wide Guard used once again, so will certainly be able to take one more hit. But King Gambit Sucker Punch finally finds its target. It'll take down the Fluttermane. And that Pelipper is just sitting and waiting to finally be finished off. That King Gambit switching in with the Defiant on the Icy Wind. Absolutely the winner of this one, as the Sucker Punch finishes it off. Terastal on Terastal. And Sean will win game number 1. Pretty dominating, and it basically was out of that King Gambit switch in on the Icy Wind. That's why Icy Wind is such a dangerous option when you see a Defiant Pokemon on the other side. Gotta always be sure, especially a Pokemon like King Gambit. That's why it's the preferred Defiant option, is because even if it gets that speed drop, Sucker Punch will keep it ahead in the priority. And 8 Sucker Punches doesn't sound like a lot until you have to play against 8 double damage Sucker Punches. And that's when you really start to feel the damage coming in. Sean with a win in game number 1. Off the back of that King Gambit. See if Ryan decides to switch things up a little bit. Pelipper was in the back in that last battle. It was a Fluttermane Baxcalibur lead and then a Rain backup. And that Pelipper came in a little later than Urshifu Rapid Strike and wasn't really able to contribute a whole lot. by adding rain to the mix. Our Chaludon and Amoonguss didn't come at all, which tend to be nice under rain. Electro Shot from our Chaludon, nice in rain, gets that 2-turn move happening in just one, and Amoonguss, nice in rain because it gets to ignore one of its weaknesses. The question now, what is the decision for Ryan to switch things up, and does Sean want to change things up at all either? Because Sean certainly has some options to maybe get a little bit more... It's unlikely you're going to get a King Gambit play like that once again. So, not a bad idea to do something else with King Gambit. See what happens. We'll see it now. Heading to Blueberry Academy. Our Chaludon and Pelipper lead for Ryan, and for Sean it's King Gambit and Rillaboom. It's an interesting setup from each of these players. Our Chaludon is going to be a nice answer into a lot of these physical attackers for Sean. It's able to just get hit once or twice. It's also a nice spot here because either you're going to... If Rillaboom goes for the fake out into the Archaludon, it sets up the stamina, which it doesn't necessarily want. And if it does it into Pelipper, then it lets Archaludon get a free Electro Shot off, which is also not very good. This Electro Shot could be blocked by the Landorus Therian. King Gambit will switch out. Landorus will come in. We'll get the Intimidate off. That only affects the Archaludon's Heavy Slam, which probably won't be used this game. Fake out into the Pelipper. This does mean Archaludon gets its chance. It's a crit. Pelipper not going to get to do anything. It's Body Press into the Landorus. Not going to do much at all. Would have been 4 times effective against King Gambit. Going to be 1 time not effective. Again, or 2 times not effective. I've done this twice today. In any case. Now an interesting spot to be in if you are Ryan. Not a bad first turn for either of these players. Landorus gets the priority here. Could go for a Rock Slide to go for those flinch chances, like really helped in that last battle. Or could go for something else. The Terra Flying Terra Blast, always a nice choice. U-turn to get out of there. Stomping Tantrum to do more damage to the Archaludon. It is Terra Grass, so if it does predict that, then you are in a little bit of danger. Rillaboom's going to swap out. Let's send in King Gambit. Interesting choice there. See the Terrastal here from Ryan, I believe. It is indeed the Archaludon Terra Grass. Will be strong against Landorus' Stomping Tantrum, but weak against the U-turn now. See Wide Guard, so that'll block the Rock Slide if that's the choice from Landorus. It's the U-turn, gets that super effective hit. Nice damage there from Ryan. Nice little play. Does boost the defense regardless, but nice little play. Got a lot of damage down there. See what the Archaludon goes for here. +1 defense now. Body Press would be super effective against either of these targets if it goes for it, but these were the opposite of the targets that were in at the start of the turn. Does Sean call that? Ooh, Ryan with a nice read, picking up the King Gambit, taking it down. Ring the bell, 1-hit knockout. The Archaludon with a +1 defense, able to get it done. Now an interesting spot, though, for both of these players. Landorus is going to start cooking pretty soon. This is a decent opportunity to go for that Terra Flying and just start really ripping stuff apart with Landorus. Could keep pivoting as well. It's always an option. Probably don't want to switch out Archaludon at this point. Not necessarily a whole lot of point to do it if you are Ryan. And the Pelipper hasn't really provided anything this battle, like in game number 2 here. Weather Ball will certainly do a lot of damage to Incineroar, although Fake Out is a solid option to stop Pelipper from getting anything done. This is Archaludon switching out. And it is Urshifu coming in. This could take a lot of damage here. It is Scarf Urshifu, so it doesn't have the Focus Sash. We will see the Terra Flying on the Landorus Therian. Best flying type move in the game is Terra Flying Terra Blast, in my opinion, my professional opinion. Fake Out will land onto the Pelipper. Terra Blast coming through, going to connect into the Urshifu. Will it one-shot? Indeed, it will. A huge hit and a critical hit. Urshifu getting a taste of its own medicine. Getting knocked out with a critical hit there. And Pelipper flinches from the Fake Out. This is a scary, scary Landorus at this point. It'll start taking over this battle. It's going to be the Baxcalibur switching in here. It no longer has a 4 times effective move with Ice Shard against the Landorus. It is still effective, and Incineroar doesn't want to do much into it either because of that thermal exchange ability. Can't really use the Flare Blitz into it. Could use the knockoff. Knockoff would certainly be an option. Not something like knockoff U-turn to get Landorus out of there and to get the Clear Amulet off of Baxcalibur. Certainly an option. Landorus is just going to hard switch out. Can't U-turn. It's Choice Scarf. I knew that. Rillaboom coming in exchange. Not going to keep the Grassy Terrain up. I believe it might expire this turn, actually. Tailwind getting up for Ryan's side. Should be a free Tailwind. If that, yeah, it was the knockoff aimed at the Baxcalibur. So, do get that free Tailwind up if you are Ryan, which is nice to have here in game number 2. We'll consistently have that speed advantage, potentially even up against that Scarfed Landorus. So this could be an opportunity where Incineroar and Rillaboom really have to stall out a lot of turns of Tailwind here. The Archaludon is the one in the back at about half HP. Don't necessarily want to let it get hit by knockoff here, especially with Ryan knowing there are no special attackers left. So a knockoff, it'll do a bit of damage, but it'll also mean a stamina boost. Will be Baxcalibur switching out, and Archaludon switching back in. So again, a knockoff will certainly do some real, do pretty good value. It is the knockoff. More damage than I was expecting. Stamina will boost. Assault Vest lost. Again, won't do very much here. The rain stops, and I believe the Grassy Terrain should expire this turn, or it is this turn. So no more grass, no more rain. No more one-turn Electro Shot from Archaludon. Body Press, not a great option for Archaludon. Definitely going to be difficult for Archaludon to get a lot of value towards the end of this battle, and you kind of want to switch out the Pelipper, because without the rain, Pelipper's damage is really weak. Weather Ball is basically nothing without the weather, and Hurricane has a real chance of missing that you do not want to risk. At the same time, either one switching into Baxcalibur is definitely an opportunity to get that knockoff off that Sean was looking for. Incineroar is going to swap out. Definitely a decent spot for Landorus to swap in. What is it going to get hit with at this point? Body Slam's not going to do much. Dragon Pulse would probably be the worst thing it could be hit with at this point. Hurricane will connect. Lands into the Rillaboom, not going to pick up the knockout. Will confuse the Rillaboom. The Body Press into the Landorus, going to do basically nothing. Rillaboom, confused. Will it hit? Hits itself in confusion. Not going to knock itself out, but down to its last breath. A rough turn for the Rillaboom right there. But now Landorus is in a pretty good spot to just sit out here for a while, and I mean, what's the downside of a nice little Terra Blast? There's not really going to be. I think our Archaludon gets taken down by a Terra Blast. I think Pelipper drops to a Terra Blast. I think Baxcalibur, if it switches in, it can't do anything. Rillaboom's going to swap out. It's going to get rid of the confusion and reset the terrain, which could be more useful for Ryan in some ways than it could be for Sean. but it also means that the Fake Out and the Grassy Glide are reset, which could be useful in the later parts of the game. Hurricane lands onto Landorus. Does not knock out the Landorus. Body Press aimed at the Incineroar. Gonna do good damage, but not enough to knock out. Terra Blast from Landorus into the Archaludon. Going to finish it off. And now Ryan down to his last two Pokemon, just the Baxcalibur and the Pelipper. No way to get the rain set up again. Very reliant on the 70% accurate Hurricane, and Tailwind is down now. So Landorus will move first in this next turn, except for Ice Shard. Ice Shard will be able to finish off the Landorus most likely, but this is the Fake Out turn for Incineroar. So actually Ice Shard won't be able to go first. Fake Out into the Baxcalibur. Gets the flinch. It would have gone for the Ice Shard. Terra Blast into Pelipper. Going to finish it off indeed. That is what it's going to get done. And now Sean just has to find a way to get rid of this Baxcalibur. Easier said than done. This is a bit of a difficult target here. The knockoff will get rid of its Clear Amulet. Not that that will matter if the Intimidate users are no longer able to cycle in, which... This is an Ice Shard here into the Landorus. Certainly will be able to. It's not. No Ice Shard here. Terra Blast just goes. It's going to do some real damage. About 2/3, 3/4. Glaive Rush is the choice into Incineroar. Will knock it out. And now two very low HP Pokemon remaining. But this is the Glaive Rush turn. And Baxcalibur, it might be forced to protect this turn. Protect and then Ice Shard. But even then, Baxcalibur might be able to... Well, actually, it's going to be the question about whether Rillaboom will be able to do enough damage with what is most likely a Wood Hammer. This is a very close end game here. It's going to be the Protect. So it'll stall out the turn of Fake Out / Glaive Rush. So one of these two will get Ice Sharded. I think it has to be the Landorus. I think it is a question of how much damage does this Rillaboom deal. And it'll be close. It will probably have to be Wood Hammer too, which could knock it out with a recoil. Alright, let's see it. It's Ice Shard. It will be into the Landorus. It will pick up the knockout. Wood Hammer the other direction. By Landorus. Wood Hammer the other direction. This will decide things. It will pick up the knockout. And that'll be it for Sean. Rillaboom damaged by the recoil. Not going to be enough. Sean with the 2-0 victory, a real exciting one. But Sean able to pick it up in the end. Playing well around those win conditions. Landorus, Therian, I mean, we talk a lot about its ability to pivot in, be an Intimidate user, get those Choice Scarf, Rock Slide, flinches. Terrifying Terra Blast is dangerous. With that, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, round 4. You don't want to miss it. Getting near crunch time. We'll be back in a minute.